What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Bit of a weird day today. I was up at 4 a.m. and I was waiting for the fusion schedule to drop. But as we know, it was super late today, probably like 5 or 6 hours later than usual. So I totally missed it. I was at work and now I'm back. So you guys get the fusion schedule here in this video a little bit later than usual. But luckily, as with all fusions from Plarium, day one is usually uneventful. So let's break down what we can do for this fusion and how we can do it as efficiently as possible. So first we buy some packs. I'm just kidding. We don't buy anything. But looking at the statistics for this fusion from my videos, I can tell that most of you guys don't really give a crap about this fusion, but I'll still try my best to go over the fusion plan here. So first we got the training event that's coming up. We do have the dungeon diver that's active. The problem is there's nothing else that's active right now. So right now we have the dungeon diver here on day one, corresponding with basically nothing. So you don't really want to sit on your hands and do nothing here. You definitely want to throw in your regenerated energy, or at least your daily energy or your free energy. If you can swing it, maybe in the spider turn attack, for example, or just basically do nothing until the second half of today and then save your energy for the events that are coming. So a couple things to note here. We can't miss a single thing unless you plan on pulling for Signy of High Shield, the epic that would be part of the fusion from the summon rush. So in this fusion, it's going to be a traditional one. We have to collect all 4 of the void rares, fuse them into 4 of these Signy epics, and then fuse it into Gretel. Is Gretel worth your resources? I think my verdict was a no. She's kind of a mid-tier damage dealer that's not really insanely good by herself. Of course, she's going to be good in some situations, and she brings a little bit more than just like a generic damage dealer. She has turn meter control. But I think overall, she's not going to be too much of a meter mover for most people. Yeah, on first look, this fusion plan does not look easy. I'm going to say that right now. First of all, we cannot miss any of these rares unless, like I said, you get the epic from this summon rush. I like that they offer this. It's a little bit, gives you a little bit of flexibility just in case something happens with one of the rares, for example. The problem with the rares is that they're also void rares, so you can only pull them from void shards. Plarium has been doing this most recently in the past. The most recent, I believe, traditional fusion was Skorrig. Skorrig was that demon spawn character that had the hex ability. And his fusion is very similar. His fusion was void rares and then epic, and then he was a magic champion as well. So I will be using Skorrig and his summon values as a close comparable for Gretel here for her summon values. So here we have Dungeon Diver, like I said, on day one, nothing much happening, but we do have to commit some energy to the Dungeon Diver in the first day if you want to do this. Basically, as free to play as you can using the free to play energy. You get about 1,000 energy per day from dailies, regenerated energy, and basically just every other day you get a free inbox energy, for example, and then you also have to factor in like clan shop energy, tag team energy. If you haven't done all of your Centranos, it's going to be Centranos energy. You're going to have maybe some energy from Doom Tower, for example, depending how far you are in that. But overall, roughly about 1,000 energy per day if you're really on top of it. So that's kind of how you're going to have to break down some of these events. So for the current Dungeon Diver, if you want to take a look here, it's going to be 3,700 points. 3,700 points for the rare. We'll wait till this loads up. All right, so here it is. So 3,700 from the Dungeon Divers. This is pretty much standard nowadays for at least the most recent ones, at least for 2024. 3,700 points for a 3-day Dungeon Diver. It equates to about 5,500 energy if you were to do this on hard 10. If you were to do this on stage 20, it's probably going to be just under 5,000 energy. So anywhere between 5,000 and 5,500 energy in 3 days. It's a little bit tough, right? Because even if you're super on top of all your daily energy for free, you're getting about 1,000 over 3 days. So you're going to be having to come up with, about 2,000-ish energy. Hopefully you have some energy saved up from your inbox from previous events. Maybe you have your CVC energy that you won from personal rewards. That would be helpful here if you have it. Otherwise, you'll be spending a couple hundred gems to finish that in its entirety. But let's see how we can maximize the energy that you're spending. So for the first dungeon diver here, you're spending about 55, let's say top end, 5,500 energy. That's pretty much what I would spend for hard 10. You can overlap your ice golem here. Your ice golem generally takes about 2.5k energy if you're doing hard 10. If you're doing the most efficient levels, it's going to be about 1 energy per 1 point, so about 2,200 points. You'll save a little bit of energy there. But you'll be doing the ice golem here. You're going to fit that into the dungeon diver. After that, you'll notice that there's no other event that really goes into the dungeon diver. So do you really want to fit, 5,000 energy into ice golem just to fill out your dungeon diver? Probably not. So I would recommend definitely putting in at least Thursday's energy into the dungeon diver, maybe to finish off the spider tournament, like I said. After that, you're going to finish the ice golem in the next 2 days. You're going to have to spend some gems here. It's not going to be a very easy fusion right off the bat. And then you're going to have to come up with basically the rest, another 2,000 energy or so just to finish off the back end of the dungeon diver. It's going to be dealer's choice. You're going to have you're going to be using that energy on basically any kind of dungeon just to finish off the dungeon event. This is what makes this fusion a bit more difficult than previous because there's just not too much overlap, which means you're spending energy on things that don't contribute to finishing off the fusion. In this case, you could spend 2,000 energy, maybe on campaign to help you finish off some of the champion training. Of course, it's not going to equate to 2,000 energy. It's going to be way more because obviously farming campaign for dungeon diver points is not going to be as efficient as farming dungeons for dungeon diving points. So overall, the first couple events kind of blow. We do have the champion chase here. According to the Scorig fusion from a couple months ago, it was 3,000 points for the rare. So 3,000 points for a rare is not too bad, considering that we do have a double chance ancient event coming up tomorrow for the champion chase, which is very, very nice. It also lines up with a 10x event for the new faction Unity champion Volcanos. Volcanos, man, I was meaning to jump into this guy and playtest this guy. This guy looks super awesome, very cool kit. But you know what? They actually closed the test server down on us, so we actually don't have access to it anymore. It just wasn't enough time to do everything that we wanted to do. But this guy looks really, really good. And yeah, he's going to be up for a 10x. Keep in mind that 10x is only going to be giving you about 5% chance to pull that legendary, even if you get a legendary. So if you get a legendary, 1 in 20 chance you're going to get Volcanos, which is still better chances than, obviously not having a boost, but still very small. And 3,000 points here, you're looking at about 60 ancient shards roughly to fully get this 3,000 points. Honestly, that's kind of reasonable. And obviously you get a double chance at pulling epics and legendaries from those shards. And then obviously you can, if you were lucky enough to get one of the epics ready, you can fuse one of the epics for 250 points towards this Gretel fusion. So for example, you can finish Dungeon Divers, you can finish Ice Golem, you can finish the champion training, and then finish the artifact enhancement event or the arena takedown. And then you would have 4 pieces ready for the champion chase, which gives you 250 points towards the chase points. Also up for grabs is the Volcanos 5-star soul during the champion chase. You can't really bank on this. Obviously, it's going to be a whale off here. It's limited to ancient shards, but ancient shards are going to be very, very high scoring in terms of points just because of the sheer volume that you can buy for them. So I would totally expect those chase tournaments to be highly fought over. But yeah, having a chase with the training tournament is pretty good because you can obviously open mystery shards, which are, good value for champion chase. They gave us 200 more slots for our reserve vault, which is super nice. I did cover this in a video last week, and people were saying no, it's only going to be free for the VIP and all that stuff. So luckily, those people were wrong, and they gave 200 free spots for everybody, which is really good. Otherwise, the world would outrage on Plarium, but luckily they gave us 200 extra spots. 200 extra spots would really help process mystery shards, and mystery shards are really good for champion chase if you guys are strapped for shards. So moving on, we got the artifact enhancement event. It's going to be a standard artifact enhancement event, most likely. It's going to cost you about 15 to 20 million silver. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, which is super standard for artifact enhancement. Again, 15 to 20 million silver each, depending how much prep you have in each of them. You don't need, like, for example, like 60 million. You just need to have some silver to start, and then you basically grind the silver as you play over the next 2 weeks. After that, we have the very standard arena takedown, basically free points here. So we got 2 of those going on. Coming up into early next week, we have CVC coming up. We have a dungeon diver with the dragon tournament. I'd fully expect them to throw something else in here as well. Maybe an ancient guarantee. People are saying Hansel as some sort of guarantee. It would make sense that they would put Hansel during this fusion just to basically add more noise to anybody trying to complete Gretel. But you know, maybe a guarantee fits here. Although I don't think putting it in CVC is kind of like the best bang for the buck for Plarium, because usually people, you know, go hard for personal rewards and not so hard for non-personal rewards. But putting maybe an ancient guarantee there would probably get, you know, catch some people off guard, right? Because people will be pulling this weekend for ancient 2x event. And then if you put a guarantee ancient right after, maybe you catch some people off guard. The other thing they could do is, you know, do a void guarantee. Why not? They just had a 100 void shard event for Annie. Why not put another void guarantee right after? That would definitely catch some people off guard for sure, especially if it was a good one. Wink, wink. Arnon? Yeah, that would be pretty nice if they did a guarantee for Arnorn, the new void dwarf damage dealer. That would be pretty insane. But yeah, like I said, this is another tough spot here. You got a 5.5k energy investment into this dungeon diver, and you really have nothing else that corresponds with this fusion other than this dragon tournament. And these dungeon tournaments only take about 2.5k energy to finish, so you're basically floating another 3k energy or so into random stuff just to finish off this dungeon divers here. You could kind of overlap it a little bit with the champion training. So for example, you could maybe double dip with the dragon tournament, or spend a little bit more, you know, energy farming up campaign for this champion training and then overlapping with the dungeon diver. Again, it's not very efficient to do campaign for dungeon diver points. So this is going to be another big energy sink. So dungeon diver 1, big energy sink. Dungeon diver 2, another big energy sink. We have another artifact enhancement event, and then we have Fire Knight champion training, summon rush with the dungeon diver. Again, this is going to be Fire Knight champion training towards the dungeon diver. Again, it's going to be another big energy sink. So 3 of these without very good dungeon overlap. The best dungeon divers are the ones that overlap 2 dungeon tournaments, like Fire Knight, Dragon, Spider, whatever. You could, of course, pack the beginning of Spider tournament and then the end of the dungeon diver, but basically you're condensing 2,500 energy into this back end, right, of this dungeon diver, which is quite a bit. You won't have that as basically free to play, so you'll just be spending gems here, which of course is not going to be the most efficient. Yeah, it's just a really tough spot in terms of how to allocate energy. Yeah, that's why this fusion is a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder to save your resources. You just kind of have to spend it here. We do have this summon rush. No additional information on this summon rush, but it will be offering a epic here. The problem is we don't know the value of this epic. Based on the old Scorig fusion, the epic costs 11 sacred shards, 5,500 points. It was 5,500 points for the epic, so 5,500 points, and the rare was 2750. So 2750. So 5 sacred shards and 5.5 sacred shards here, and then 11 sacred shards for the epic. It really depends what you guys have in terms of resources, right? If you don't have resources but you have shards, you can spend the shards, get the one epic, and then skip 4 events. You can skip 4 events. You could literally skip all 3 of the dungeon divers. You can skip all 3 of the dungeon divers and then one more of your choice. That can equate to really, really big energy savings. You'll be basically saving, 2,000 or 3,000 every single dungeon diver, because every single dungeon diver is not very optimally placed around other events. So if you pick up this epic with the use of shards, you could theoretically save yourself a couple thousand energies. Very easily save you a couple thousand energies. So it really depends. If you don't have shards, then nothing you can do, right? You have to go for all these tournaments. But if you have shards, you have the option of going for this epic, which will save you gems or energy if you so choose so. The other thing to consider if you are planning to use shards is that there's likely going to be some kind of event for Hanzo, Gretel's partner, and or Gretel's 5-star soul. So it really depends. Some people are not going to get Gretel and they're not going to care about the 5-star soul. Some people are saying the 5-star soul will be a Titan event, and I strongly don't agree that it's going to be a Titan event just because of the overall like feeling around this fusion. Most people are probably going to skip it. And if most people skip this fusion, most people will not participate in a Titan event. Therefore, I don't think Plarium will sacrifice 2.5, 3 weeks of events towards a soul that no one cares about. So personally, I think Gretel's soul will probably be a one-time event, maybe a 3-day Heroes Path event, maybe. I think that's probably the best way to get people involved. It's just going to be a short event, similar to like Incarnate or Wixwell type, just one-time event, get the soul, call it a day, Scorig type event. And then I think if they put Hanzo as a Titan event, I could see that. I could see them putting Hanzo as a Titan event, final reward, similar to how they gave away Tormin last Christmas during his Titan event. I think that was very well received. Tormin's a good champion. And I think Hanzo, would generate a little bit of, participation, right? Just for people trying to get a champion out of it. It would make more sense to me rather than just doing like a one-time 180 Ancient Shard event for Hanzo. I think doing a Titan event for Hanzo would probably generate a little bit more buzz. But I definitely don't feel like Gretel's 5-star soul for a Titan event would generate a lot of participation, especially over 3 weeks, just because of how this fusion is playing out for everybody. Everybody just thinks she's kind of mid and not really bothering with her. Also keep in mind that I don't expect Plarium to leave that event dungeon to be empty for too long. I definitely think they're probably going to start that up again with some other event, maybe after this fusion. So just something to look out for, maybe something to keep your energy in mind for example. But yeah, so those are my notes on this fusion. I personally think it's quite difficult. There's definitely a lot of pockets of time in this fusion that's going to cost a lot of just kind of random energy being spent that usually would be spent towards the fusion, but in this case it's kind of spent just on whatever, just to complete whatever event you're trying to do, usually a dungeon diver. So these dungeon divers are definitely cost you many thousands of energy, 2,000 to 3,000 energy extra that you guys could have double dipped in like previous fusions, but instead you have to waste it here. That's why the epic, getting the epic here is actually highly valuable, but of course it's going to cost you, up to 11 sacred shards, probably. 11 seems to be the high marker right now in terms of getting the epic from a summon rush event, at least for this year. So if it's any higher, then we're going to have a new high. But so far it's 11. But yeah, so it really depends what kind of resources you have. Personally, I have, over 50 sacred shards. I can definitely spend some on this summon rush to kind of take the load off of, my energy resources. I think I will probably do that on my alt account. On my main account, I'll probably still use shards as well, just so I can skip some of these heavy energy drains like the dungeon divers and stuff. I will make a small correction here to this video in this video. I did mention that this was going to be maybe personal rewards, but I just remembered that the last CVC we had was actually personal rewards, so it's less likely that this is going to be PR personal rewards, which means it's probably going to be non-personal rewards. We'll find out tomorrow. But if that's the case, and that is, it's not a personal reward CVC, that means the likelihood of them throwing some kind of big event during this CVC day, during these CVC days, goes up. So I mentioned in this video that it could be, some kind of guarantee summon event. It could be, it could be something, right? The chances of that goes up for a non-personal reward CVC, because those kind of events stimulate participation and get people to commit more points. Whereas most people during non-personal reward CVC, they kind of just take it easy and don't commit so many points. But if there's some kind of special event, like a summon event, for example, they might jack up the points there. It might not necessarily have to be like a guarantee, but it could be like a 1+1. It could be a 1+1 ancient. It could be a 1+1 void. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the first ever 1+1 void. That would get people to definitely open up some wallets, right, to get for the chance there. But anyways, I definitely have a lookout for the CVC coming up next week. But yeah, that's going to be my note on the Fusion calendar here. Like I said, for my own plans, I'd probably be pulling for the epic so I can avoid spending all the energy on the dungeon diver, so I can spend the energy wherever I want instead, or save the gems in that case. I'm not really swimming in energy, considering that we had all those juicy events leading up to this fusion. We had a lot of events with primal shards, primal quartz, a lot of end game resources that basically are like very sought after and very hard to get. So I definitely spent energy to go get those. But that means I don't have that much prepped up for this fusion, and having the option to spend shards, which I have a lot of on an epic, gives me some flexibility with the energy spend for the dungeon divers. So that's probably what I will be doing. Let me know what you guys are going to be doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do you guys have any other techniques or strategies for this fusion? I know most of you guys are probably going to be skipping it, so I'm going to be seeing a lot of skips in the comments, but that's okay. Enjoy your break. I appreciate you guys watching to the end. Yeah, let me know in the comments below how you guys are doing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.